guys, welcome back to another video by your Corporate Big Sisters. So we are going to be doing a continuation from the previous video that we did. So we did, if you haven't watched it yet, a video on interview tips and tricks.
Yes.
So we asked you guys if you want a part 2 from the video, and we got some feedback. Actually, we had our very first event that was done by yours truly.
Thank you.
An opening event for one of the student chapters or a student organization. So so Abba went and she got to talk to some of the students who watched some of our videos.
Yeah.
And had also been looking at our Instagram. So it was very nice just to hear some feedback, guys. So we really appreciate interacting with anyone who watches our videos.
Yeah, and when we say DM us, we really do mean it. We will
Yeah.
respond. We definitely love the engagement, and we like it when you guys actually engage with us and ask questions, because that's what we're here to do. Help. Just help you navigate the corporate space.
Exactly. So after talking to people via DMs and at that event as well, we realized that we should do a part 2. So this part 2 is going to be about more tips and tricks for interviews, and also the different types of interviews that you could also get.
So basically, what we'll be doing is per type of interview, we'll also give you tips on what you can do to prepare for that type of interview.
Yeah.
So that's where the tips and tricks really comes in.
Yeah. Okay, so what we've done is we have quite a lot of information for you guys in terms of the types and tips of interviews, or tips rather for interviews. So we have split it up. So this is part 2, which is a continuation from the last video that we did, but we're also going to have a part 3. So we're going to speak about some of the types of interviews and some of the tips in this one, and then the rest we'll do in the other video instead of just putting it all in one.
Yeah. So going on to the first type of interview you can have. So you can either have a one-on-one interview, where, as the name suggests, it's just you in the room with one other person that's going to be interviewing you. Or you can have a panel interview, where then in the room there's going to be yourself and then 2 or more people that's on the panel to actually interview you. So with these types of interviews, one thing you need to make sure that you do, for example, with the one-on-one, obviously eye contact is very important, especially since it's just the 2 of you in the room. So obviously, keep the eye contact, but also don't make it awkward. Don't stare the person down, but just when you're talking, definitely look at the person. It really just makes you more
have more connection with
that
the person.
And then basically another thing is, in a panel interview, that what would be important in terms of eye contact is to make sure that you're looking at every single person in the room. So don't just focus on one person the whole time, because that can get a little bit creepy, a little bit weird. But just try it, spread out your eye contact amongst the room. If it's 2 people, make sure that you're giving them both the same amount of attention, really. And then if it's more than that, then obviously just make sure that you try at least give each person that little bit of
and
eye
engagement
contact
as well. Even if you're getting asked a question by one person, let's say person A is asking you the question, don't just look at person A. Address the question to the whole room, because especially with the panel interview, it's not there's only one person that's going to be deciding whether you make it or not. All of the people in the room are going to kind of make that decision. So you want to impress every single person in that room. And like Abo said, it's easier when it's one-on-one. Actually, sometimes it's easier, sometimes not easier. But in terms of getting that engagement, it's easier to engage with one person. But when it's a lot of people, sometimes it becomes a little bit more difficult. So just be mindful of that.
Yeah. And another thing that you can actually do for yourself is, if you know who your interviewer is beforehand, so this goes for either one-on-one or when you're doing a panel interview, if you know who your interviewers are beforehand, I would suggest doing a little bit of research on them.
For sure.
So this
For sure.
research is just for you to like familiarize yourself with the person, try to find any common ground between the two of you as well, and
Yeah.
also just give yourself something to talk about with the person, because you
Yeah.
know that little bit of relatability can also help go a long way.
Yeah.
Because another thing is like during an interview, you also really want to just like let your personality shine through. So if you have got that common ground, you can also like, you know, during the intervals or like at the beginning before the interview is really started, you can have a conversation starter and like actually start
Yeah.
talking to the person to just like calm your nerves as well and
Yeah.
make everything flow a bit easier.
Yeah, because especially like with a one-on-one interview, you literally just have that one person who can either, make or break it for you.
Yeah,
So if you can
yeah.
find common ground with that one person, that would be great. But with the panel, like, because like Abu said, sometimes you'll get the names beforehand and you can do some research. Like if you find maybe two, like let's say there's four people, two out of the four people that you have some common grounds on, or like you guys have something in common, like that's two people out of four, like 50% of the people that will be there vouching for you. So, and I think also another point with like knowing who is interviewing you is it can be very awkward sometimes when you forget someone's name,
Oh
like
yes.
during the
Oh
interview.
yes.
So I would say that would help. I mean, look, if you're having a virtual interview and like it's via Teams, the person's name is right there, so it makes it a lot easier.
It's not as hard,
It's not
yeah.
as hard, yeah. But when you're sitting in person and everyone has introduced themselves, and now you have like a question for this specific person and you don't know their name, it will help sometimes to have done that research beforehand. But
Exactly.
also when they are introducing themselves, just like take note of that and try to remember their name.
Yeah, just try pay attention. Because it's always
Yeah.
nice also when you can address someone with their actual name. You know,
Yeah.
it just makes it like a little bit feel like a bit more important,
Yeah.
and that you've actually done your homework and
Yeah.
you've done a little bit of research as
Yeah.
well.
But with that being said, like if you don't remember the person's name, don't now like say
Yeah.
it, because I think it's even more awkward saying someone's name and it's wrong. So if you are going to be saying someone's name, make sure that you're 100% like
Sure, that
about
is the
it.
actual name,
Yeah.
because there's nothing more rude than calling someone by a
Yeah.
random name. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
rather just not do it.
Yeah.
So the second type of interview you can have is a video recording interview. So usually with this one, you'll get sent a link, and then once you follow the link, it will take you into a portal where you can then record answers to questions that a company would have given you to answer. So usually what happens is they'll give you a bunch of questions, really depending on the company. There's no specific set number of questions that you have to respond to. So what would happen is that obviously a question would flash and then give you 2 minutes, and then after that 2 minutes, you then have to record yourself answering that
Yeah.
question in an allocated time slot as well.
And actually 2 minutes is long. Like sometimes companies will give you even shorter, like
Yeah, yeah.
20 seconds type of short.
Yeah, exactly. So you just need to make sure that when you actually like recording the answer, you're happy with it. And please, when it gives you that time where you can actually like think about an answer, use
Like,
that
think it
time
through.
wisely.
Yeah.
Think it through. Don't just rush to answer and go straight to recording. Actually
Yeah.
think it through so that once you answer, you're able to like articulate yourself in the best way
Yeah.
possible and actually answer the question that they're asking
Yeah.
you to begin with.
Because sometimes it's a bit awkward because there's no person there. Like you might be used to having like maybe a virtual interview where there's another person there
Yeah.
asking you the questions. But like Abu was saying, it's literally like a computer thing, like flashing a question at you and then you have to record it. Like it's kind of like you're talking to yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit awkward, like if you're not used to it. So I think really use that time. And also the nice thing is that most of the portals give you like a practice thing as well.
Yeah.
Where you can test like your audio, the lighting as well. And they give you like a test question so that you can get a feel for it before you actually do like the questions that actually count.
Yeah, so also actually understand like the timing, because like timing can be very important when you do these things.
Yeah.
So I suggest to always use the practice, like it never hurts. If you get
Yeah.
more than one chance to practice as many times as you can until you're actually comfortable, and you're also comfortable with like your background and what you're actually going to be showing in that video.
Yeah.
Because remember, when you hit record, whatever is in your vicinity will be seen
Yeah.
on the video recording.
Yeah.
So just also for you to find a good spot to sit in
Yeah.
the house.
And they also like use that thing to filter out people before like meeting them. Well, sometimes they have it like before everything, sometimes it's after.
Yeah.
But because it's like the first impression that they're getting of you. Like even though there's no one there, someone is going to see it.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
make sure that everything is on point.
Yeah, and you're answering the question at the end of the day because that's really what matters.
What matters, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so next is not a type of interview, but it's more like a tip that you can use during your interviews.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people neglect that you have to ask, or it's good rather to ask questions at the end of an interview, because
Yeah.
when a company is interviewing you, remember that you are interviewing them as well. So
Yeah.
you need to find out if they would be a good fit for you. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important also to just make sure that you're not, because I think a lot of people are aware of the fact that you must ask questions at the end of an interview, but they just ask questions just for just. Like they don't actually ask questions with
they never actually
substance.
ask questions with substance or questions that they've thought through. Like
Exactly.
another thing is you can prepare this question beforehand.
Beforehand, exactly.
Like you don't need to get there and feel the need to ask a question about what has currently happened during your interview process. You can
Yeah.
prepare questions that you want to know about the company
Yeah.
as soon as you apply to it. Like so ask anything you're interested in. If you've seen something in the news about the company and it's it's something you want to know more about, put the question out there to them.
Or if it's something that's important to you, so like for example, if you're wanting to further your studies and you're wanting to know if the company pays for that, like ask them things like that. Or even if it's things to do with like, do you have paid maternity leave? I don't know, like something that is important to you. Obviously everyone will have different questions that they're wanting to ask, but I guess the point we're trying to get across is don't just do it just for just, but actually use that time to interrogate the company. Because also maybe sometimes you'll get like multiple offers, like job offers, and that like the question or the answers rather that they gave to your questions will be what you can use to interrogate
as your determining factor of where you actually end up.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also there's nothing more awkward than when interviewers are like, okay, do you have any questions? And then you're like, no.
It kind of seems like you don't care. You're like, I just want to get out of here.
Yeah. Always just ask a question, ask something. Or even sometimes, obviously if you haven't prepared anything beforehand, which I don't suggest, then try ask a question about like maybe something you were talking about during the interview as well.
From one of the panelists.
Exactly, something from one of the panelists. That's always very important. And also in terms of questions, during your interview, if you don't understand a question that is posed to you, what you can do is ask for them to clarify.
Yes.
So even like things like that to make the interview a lot more engaging as well, so that you're actually listening to the questions as well. So then that helps you to be able to better answer the question than try and answer a question that you don't understand.
No, that's true for sure. Because it's a conversation also.
At the end of the day.
You don't want it to be like I ask question, you answer. Like you want it to be very like fluid and normal and natural.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, we've mentioned like the different types of interviews and like tips. So we're curious, like in the comments, let us know about a time where you thought or you just knew that the interview was going south. So I want to pose that question to you, Avo. Tell us about a time where it was just
it's a little embarrassing because I was a bit older. But I got posed a question during an interview. In that interview was a panel interview, so I had two other people on the line. It was obviously over video call. Luckily for me, because they didn't see me fumbling when they actually asked me the question. So basically, the question was like a problem solving, but the problem was that it involved like those old school like analog clocks.
the analog clocks.
So unfortunately, I cannot tell analog time. Like I'm so used to like digital time, so I can't tell analog time. So the question was about finding the angle between the hands on a clock, and obviously I can't tell analog time, so I don't know where the long hand was, where the short hand was.
Oh my god, that's so awkward.
So I literally give my first answer. And I remember on the other side, like dead silence. And I was like, okay, clearly I've said something completely wrong. And then I just confessed. I was like, you know what? I actually do not know how to tell analog time. So please can you tell me where the short hand and the long hand is? I won't even lie. I thought I messed up. I thought I'd messed up there. And I was like, yeah, this is going south. And it's not recoverable at this point.
Yeah, shame, man. No, I've also had one of those. Like, I think for me though, it was a bit tricky because it was actually about like content, like that I needed for the job. Because basically the interview was split up.
Okay.
So the first part was like getting to know you, and I killed that part. Like I was
Obviously.
connecting with the panelists. One of them worked at like the job that I was at, so we had that to connect on.
Oh shit.
So the second part was like the more technical and like school related questions. And at this point, I had been out of varsity for like about 2 years. So they were asking me like finance 101 questions, and I literally started laughing because I didn't know the answers. And they just laughed with me. And
Yeah.
when we were all laughing together, I was like, yeah, I'm not getting this job. So, yeah.
Did you get the job though? Just out of curiosity.
Unfortunately not, but I'm employed now, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, let us know below. We would love to hear about your stories. Yeah.
Okay, so as we wrap up this video, we just like to give a quick summary of what we talked about today. So obviously we mentioned the all-important one-on-one versus a panel interview. And then we got into the video recording interview, which is like of the new age. So a lot of companies have started doing that now. And also just like letting you guys in on the fact that questions at the end of an interview are integral. They just show interest in the job. And I think you've also done your research. Like they're really great to show that you've done your research and you've done your homework on the company before coming into the interview.
Yeah, so that's it from our from the video, guys. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes,
And
please.
also, please follow our Instagram, guys. Don't just engage on YouTube. We want to form like a whole community. So we'd really like
and we
that.
really do answer Instagram DMs.
Yes,
So please do.
Please, guys. So don't forget, guys,
As always,
your corporate big sisters are here to help you secure the bag.